Hello clarinet fans and students, my name is Kathy Williams-Devries. I'm a clarinetist from Brisbane, Australia, and today I wanted to present a frank, interesting, wide-ranging discussion on the Mozart Clarinet Concerto and Quintet. Both absolutely incredible works of the clarinet repertoire, and I will be discussing more about the psychology of the pieces and how they influence me, what's influenced my interpretation of these, how these pieces make me feel, and I'd like to make various comparisons between the two pieces, not just in terms of thematic similarities, which I think are many, but also what's very different about the two pieces. And you notice that I've got the exposition of the concerto on. Now, very obviously a comparison can be made between the two pieces already, and that's they're in the same key. And they're both written for the A clarinet. They're actually written for the A basset clarinet. Anton Stadler, who Mozart wrote for, had invented the basset clarinet, which is much like this one, but it's got it's extra long, so it can go down to a low C, and I believed it was shaped sort of on a sort of L bend, you know, like you might see on a pipe or something. It was quite interesting. It kind of had like almost a carondelet bell on it or something, because you've got to realise that in the in Anton Stadler's and Mozart's time, the clarinet didn't look like this. They were made of a much lighter material called boxwood, which actually is a lovely wood to play. I think being a lot lighter than the sort of the African blackwood granadella that these are made of, I think it enabled to sing a lot easier through the clarinet than it does today. Yeah, it's just so much a lighter sound and can be influenced more by a change in the breath and pressure. But that's just my take on it. Having played one many years ago, but I've heard live a clarinetist do the Weber's second concerto with it, and I noticed the lovely stinging lines and the lightness of the sound. So, I mean, the main reason why these pieces are written in the clarinet C or F is that the clarinet was basically a big recorder. And you know, when you play recorder, that when you start playing lots of sharps and flats, you have all these interesting cross fingerings, and the tuning on the early clarinet was pretty dodgy as well. So even if you did play a particular note, you usually had to shadow at least one other hole in order to get the thing in tune. Until Anthony Pay came along and showed us all how awfully easy it was to get the thing to play in tune. My recording of the Mozart Clarinet Quintet by Anthony Pay is well, the best I've ever heard, and has actually influenced my playing of the quintet itself. There's some lovely things he does with the embellishment when the theme returns that in the slow movement just make me want to almost sigh with happiness. The incredible beauty of it, and then in the third movement, the elegance of the minuet and trio. Again, the tiny little embellishments add even more to the grace of the movement. And sure, people say, well, you can't contrast it, one's a concerto, one's a quintet. Well, the thing is, that's like saying you can't compare a black and white movie with a colour movie. You know, I mean, they're both pieces of music. They're both pieces of music written for the clarinet, and of course both pieces can be condensed from a quintet or a concerto down to clarinet and piano. Now, I'll speak about the two works, just my general overview of what I feel the two works are. Now, the concerto is, for Mozart, really intense piece of music. I mean, I've tried to play it for 20 years, and I've learned to stop agonising over it. I think sometimes one can think, oh my God, I'm playing Mozart, you know, and you get yourself into a real complex about it. And I think at various stages of my clarinet playing development, it's become more about me playing the music instead of the music just coming from me, you know, flowing from the composer through me out to the audience. So my views on the concerto have, you know, they've developed over the years. Now, one thing I notice with the concerto is it's quite busy. It is technically demanding. There's more technical demands in the concerto than there is in the quintet. But as a general overview, there are a lot of moments of very, very typical Mozart. It helps if you have a really light staccato, just to you know, trip the staccato passages off the tongue, to use a slightly Shakespearean language, which actually I'm a Shakespearean scholar. I have a graduate diploma in Shakespeare studies and actually worked in a Shakespearean theatre for a while. I was singing a third of his plays on stage, so kind of know what I'm talking about. So, but what's incredible is that are these incredible dark parts of the concerto. So at measure 78, you know, you've come from you know, a very busy, happy sort of first section. Then all of a sudden you're in the minor. You're in C minor, and it's very dark, and he comes out of it, but you know that the darkness is never that far away. And actually, we're at a section now. Let me just play this. This is an incredible section. I love it. Let me just cue this up for you. It's incredible, this section. I mean, it is a transitional section which gets us from the development back into the first theme again. But in this particular section, I'm very haunted by the bassoon part, which for me echoes parts of the beginning of the Requiem. And certainly there's the darkness of the Requiem, and almost also a little bit of Don Giovanni too. I mean, they're all late works, and I think this I mean, Don Giovanni is very, very dark. I mean, if the first, you know, if the orchestral introduction doesn't freak you out, then when that statue first talks, and when he comes to Don Giovanni's house for dinner, whoa, you know, and then when he drags him down to hell, my God, is this Mozart we're listening to? I think not. I mean, and it was quite sort of adventurous of the day for him to be using the diminished seventh chord. But let me just play this bit, because it's full of darkness and foreboding. Which abates when you come back to the first theme, but then there's a few more dark moments before you come to the final busy passage at about 5:24. So let me just play this. I think it's incredible. So this is the transitional phase at bar 227, up until the return of the solo line at 248, but I find this very dark. Now listen to the bassoon part. And I think that's also with the cellos as well. And this is lovely on piano. Ah, and then you're coming back into the main theme again. Oops, never mind, stop there. So that's well, actually that's the first movement. Now, the second movement for me, I mean, while it's intensely beautiful and intense, and it does lighten up a bit at around about 34, and this is where you can get some lovely embellishments in there. But, and I will make a comparison between the second movement of the quintet and the second movement of the concerto, because they use practically the same notes. But, or maybe in a slightly different order, but the displacement of the A by a quaver, I think, makes all the difference. Now, for me, what gives us the sadness is first from bar 17 with the descending A, G, F, E, D. That in itself is sad, but when it goes up, the tone, half tone, makes it even sadder. And then there's an intense sadness once you go down from the top C, and there's this longing, there's this begging as you hit that B flat, and of course that B flat is strengthened by the fact that it's got a dot next to it. It's not ya da 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 ya da da ya da, and he doesn't let us get to that tonic. You know, he gives us the ya da 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 ya da da. You know, he leaves us hanging before we get back to the tonic again. But just when you think it gets too intense, suddenly at 34 it lightens up, and it's actually almost a little bit playful. It's certainly a lot lighter in the orchestra. It's just boom, chuck, 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 chuck. It's, you know, it's a lot lighter, and it's so idiomatically written for the clarinet. You know, these wide leaps, which, you know, he makes use of the timbre of the different registers. And such a pity that I don't have a basset clarinet to show you what he really meant to do in these passages. I mean, if we take it from if we take it from 44, yum ba dum bum ba da ya, what he actually meant to do, yum ba dum bum ba da ya da dum, which is a lot stronger, and also again at 49, da 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 da. And also at 50 and 51, the leaps between the C, G, D, A would have been so much more dramatic. So, and then we come to the cadenza, which we also use in the quintet, and when you come back, it's as soft as you can possibly play a clarinet. Yeah, it's just incredible. And the third movement's a lot lighter. It's a lot more fun. It's very graceful. And if you know your arpeggios and you've got a nice light staccato, you can have an awful lot of fun with it. Great deal of beauty with it. Overall, this movement is very, very happy. It's a triumphant end to an amazing piece. And there are its difficulties. I think there's an incredible section through the pickup to 138 when you're suddenly sort of in A minor, and again the basset clarinet would have come in useful at 151, 152, the low C sharp, D sharp, E, but, you know, what can you do? Yeah, it's a really incredible piece of music. And again, the bassett clarinet would have come in handy also at 311, 312 and 313. We tend to fudge that a little bit now. Nobody does it as written, I don't think, unless you're wanting to put it on display of how good your left-hand technique is. But my dinner's just pinged, so I'll be back with you shortly.